The story begins with the sound of dishes clattering in the back of a busy restaurant kitchen. Water splashes, steam fogs up the small window near the sink, and a man with tired eyes and calloused hands keeps scrubbing, even though his back aches with every motion. His name is Daniel Hayes, a single dad struggling to keep his head above water. His shirt is worn, his shoes have holes, but his spirit refuses to break because waiting at home is the one thing that gives his life meaning. His little daughter, Lily, only 7 years old, full of dreams he can't afford. Daniel had been working as a dishwasher in this restaurant for 2 years. Nobody in the kitchen paid him much attention. To them, he was just the quiet guy in the corner, doing the job nobody else wanted to do. But Daniel didn't complain, because a job meant a paycheck, and a paycheck meant rent, food, and medicine for Lily. Every day he whispered the same promise to himself, "I'll make her life better, no matter what it takes." But that night, everything seemed to go wrong. The manager stormed into the kitchen, red-faced and frustrated, holding a stack of unpaid invoices. He glared at Daniel as though all the world's problems rested on his shoulders. "You're too slow," the manager snapped. "We're drowning back here because you can't keep up. Maybe this job isn't for you." Daniel's heart sank. Fired? He couldn't afford that. Rent was due in 3 days, Lily needed new shoes for school, and he had exactly $47 left in his pocket. He opened his mouth to plead, but his voice caught in his throat. For a moment, he saw everything crashing down: homelessness, hunger, the crushing weight of failing his daughter. The manager threw down his apron. "Finish this shift. After tonight, don't bother coming back." Daniel's hands trembled as he scrubbed the plates, but he kept going, because quitting wasn't an option. That night, when he picked up Lily from the neighbor who watched her, she noticed the sadness in his eyes. She climbed onto his lap, hugging his tired face with her tiny arms. "Daddy, don't worry. You always say God has a surprise for us. Maybe it's coming tomorrow." Her words stuck with him. A surprise. But Daniel couldn't see how anything good could come out of tomorrow. Still, he kissed her forehead, tucked her into bed, and stayed awake most of the night, staring at the ceiling, wondering how much longer he could hold on. The next morning, just as he was about to head to the restaurant for his last shift, a man in a tailored black suit appeared at his door. His polished shoes didn't belong in Daniel's worn-out hallway. The man introduced himself as Mr. Carter, a lawyer for the late billionaire Richard Wellington, a name Daniel had only heard on the news. Daniel's brows furrowed in confusion. Why would a billionaire's lawyer come knocking on his broken door? Mr. Carter handed him a letter, sealed in elegant stationery. "Mr. Hayes, this may come as a shock, but you've been mentioned in Mr. Wellington's final will." Daniel's hands shook as he tore open the letter. He read the words once. Then again. His lips moved silently as he tried to understand. According to the will, the billionaire had left instructions naming Daniel Hayes, an ordinary dishwasher, the new CEO of his massive company. It felt like a cruel joke. This has to be a mistake," Daniel stammered. "I don't know anything about running a company. I don't even know why he'd know my name." But it wasn't a mistake. Years ago, Daniel had unknowingly saved Richard Wellington's life. Back when Daniel was still in college, before life collapsed, he worked part-time at a gas station. One night, an older man came in, looking weak, struggling to breathe. Everyone ignored him, assuming he was drunk, but Daniel rushed to his side, called an ambulance, and stayed with him until help arrived. Daniel never knew the man's name, but Richard never forgot the kindness of that young stranger. In his final years, with no family to inherit his empire, he decided to entrust it to someone who had humanity, not just ambition. That someone was Daniel. When the news broke, the world went into shock. Media outlets plastered Daniel's face everywhere, from dishwasher to CEO overnight. The restaurant manager who had fired him watched in disbelief. Workers whispered his name in awe. But for Daniel, it wasn't pride he felt, it was fear. At his first board meeting, men in expensive suits glared at him like vultures. They didn't want him there. "This is absurd," one of them sneered. "He doesn't even have a degree." Another whispered, "He'll destroy the company in a week." Daniel almost agreed with them. He was terrified, lost in a world of numbers, deals, and decisions. But every time doubt threatened to crush him, he thought of Lily, her laughter, her innocence, her belief that he could do anything. So he pushed forward. He read late into the night, studying business, leadership, and finance. He asked questions, listened, and learned from anyone willing to teach him, even the janitors and secretaries who truly knew how the company functioned. Still, challenges came hard and fast. Stockholders threatened to pull out, rival companies tried to exploit his inexperience, and some